All right, everyone, I have fantastic news. We are back and ready for Link to the Past. No major glitches ran by Imchan. So we are going to throw it over to him right now. Imchan, let's see you save Hyrule and defeat Ganon.
All right, hello. Thank you very much. Hello everybody. My name is M-Chan338, and I am back once again at Power with Pride to run The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. Very excited to be here. And today I am honored to be joined by...
Hello, I am Ad129. And yeah, I run this game as well. I run no major glitches and also major glitches. So I would say, well versed in the speedrun.
Yeah. For those who follow up with Power Up with Pride will recognize I ran 100% about a year and a half ago. And now this time we're kind of decreasing the percentage here with any percent, no major glitches. Hopefully it'll be a fun experience here for you guys. And actually, before we begin, I do want to give an honorable shout out to Sinpyro, who was going to run at around this time slot, but due to some circumstances, he had to drop out of the event. So, Sinpyro, if you happen to watch this or watch this back, then I hope you are doing well. With that being said, I think we're ready to go. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and do the countdown in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you very much. All right, so yeah, this is any percent no major glitches. So what no major glitches means is I cannot do any wrong warps, no out of bounds, I cannot do any clips, I cannot use the exploration glitch that is a commonly well-known glitch, as well as anything else that skips a large part of the game. So if you've played this game casually and you're watching this for your first time, then you'll recognize this game. We'll be going through the traditional route of the game, but like faster. With a few major exceptions. Right off the bat here, the first thing to talk about in any Link to the Past speedrun is movement. So anytime I'm facing left or up, I am actually mashing my D-pad. It is a technique known as pumping, which essentially Link's movement alternates between 1 or 2 pixels per frame. What I'm doing is that anytime I'm mashing left or up, I am resetting Link's 2-pixel animation as he starts off with the 2-pixel animation anytime he's facing left or up. Essentially saving pixels at a time. It doesn't save a whole lot of time throughout the course of the run, but it can add up to being a few seconds over the course of the run.
Yeah, it adds up really quickly.
Yeah. Alright, so heading into Hyrule Castle, we do have to rescue Zelda, as the story currently is that a wizard named Aghanim has taken over Hyrule and wants control over the Golden Land, and we're trying to stop that. He has eliminated the 6 maidens, and Zelda's the last maiden currently, and we're trying to prevent that from happening. So we're going to go ahead and defeat off some soldiers here, grab our key, and then we're approaching to our first item pretty soon, which is the blue boomerang. It is completely optional item, but we pick it up because it has some really cool utilities with it, and that is that you can stun enemies, and it allows you to go right through the enemies. But then also you can grab items from a distance without having to physically collect it, which you'll be seeing that demonstration right here in this room. So I'm going to go and pick up the boomerang, and then as the key spawns, I'm going to throw the boomerang at the key, and the key is going to... and I grab the key with the boomerang.
Yeah, the boomerang is very useful in a lot of sections in the game, so...
Yeah.
Definitely not this is an early game item, we don't use this ever again. No, we use it later on as well. It's very helpful for certain situations.
Alright, so we're approaching our bit of a mini-boss here. Okay, there we go. That can be a pretty scary enemy right off the bat, because we have 3 hearts to work with, and he does 1 heart of damage, so it's a very difficult enemy to fight. But fortunately, we made it through just fine. So we rescued Zelda, and we also picked up the lamp. There's 3 different ways to pick up the lamp. One is Link's house, the other one's the well, and then in this jail, and it's faster to pick up the lamp in the jail. And now we're going to go ahead and take Zelda through the sanctuary, or through the sewer section and into the sanctuary. This is what we call the mandatory escape section. It's everybody's favorite part of the run.
Everybody loves escort mission, right?
Yeah. So, on our way to the sewer section, there will be random enemy patterns that I have to read and react to. Basically, in this game, all the enemies start off in the same position, but they move randomly. So I have to read and react to any given situation in order to optimize room times as much as possible. Alright, so we need Zelda and the lamp in order to push this bookcase out of the way. And now here we go.
Yeah, so this like little sewer section can be a little scary sometimes. Some enemies, like you said, are sometimes unpredictable. They just will decide to not do what you expect.
Yeah, in this second room right here, those snakes, sometimes you can get walled up by some snakes, and you either have to use the boomerang or slash them out of your way, depending on what RNG you're given. I'm already at 1 heart. Hopefully I don't die here. It would be kind of embarrassing. Fortunately, enemies don't do a whole lot of damage in here, but the damage does add up if you get unfortunate RNG. Alright, let's see what I get here. There's 3 different, oh, looks like we're getting, oh, man. Alright, so the rats here do a quarter heart of damage. I'm probably gonna, we'll see what happens here. I really don't want to have to die. It would be very embarrassing. Okay, so if you hold right, you skip a text trigger, which saves about a second, and sometimes the enemies can actually push you into the text trigger, but that didn't happen this time, and we're out. Okay, okay.
That was so scary.
That was a little bit rough, but alright, we made it out. Alright, now fortunately, in that treasure chest is a heart container, and we are definitely going to pick it up. Even without half a heart, I'm still gonna pick it up because it takes a few seconds to pick up, and honestly, you'd be pretty crazy to skip it throughout this game because this is a pretty brutal game, and as you can see, the beginning kind of already demonstrates how hard this game can get right away. So
yeah, especially in the latter half of the run after you get the Master Sword, at least like in terms of the bosses, they just get very difficult.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's a massive jump.
Alright, so now we're going to head straight into East Palace, and on our way to East Palace, we do have time for donations or announcements.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much. As we are working our way across the map, chat, I do have a challenge for you, or perhaps just a request. You know, I would love to see a $5 donation train as we get our way to the UFO 50 bonus pin golf run. We are a little less than $300 away from hitting that target, so that is a big goal, but I believe in you. And to get things started, I would love to hear, what is your favorite Zelda game? I assume there has to be plenty of Zelda fans in chat. And for $5, I would love to read in a donation what your favorite Zelda game is. So personally for me, I'm a big fan of Link's Awakening DX on the Game Boy Color. I think that's probably the one I've played the most and put the most time into. But I know that there's a ton of opinions out there. So let me know in the comments in your donations, please. Thank you so much. Back to you guys.
That's a really
all
good
right.
question.
Yeah. I'll answer that question in a moment. So coming up is this room. So there's normally 4 Staphos, but if you move in a certain way, then only 2 of them will spawn. And I know exactly where they're at, so I can just throw pots at the spots where they're going to spawn at without having to see the Staphos at all.
I actually did not know that.
Alright, I'm going to pick up these arrows here so I don't have to rely on an arrow drop later on. And then we're coming up pretty soon to our first sequence break of the run. So coming up, there is a room full of a bunch of enemies, and we have to kill all the enemies. But if I use iframes, then I can use the iframes to go through some anti-fairies surrounding a pot that has a switch, and I can hit the switch using the iframes to happen to kill any of the enemies. So let's see how this goes. Nice.
Nice. Just like that.
So, as you can see, I didn't have to fight any of the enemies, so that saves like 40 seconds already. Pretty big time save. And now we're about to get the bow, which is a very powerful item. And it doesn't come with arrows, which is why I had to go a bit out of my way to get some arrows. And so we're going to be stocking up on arrows as much as we can here. Fortunately, the arrow management's not like super precise, unlike in some other Zelda games. So we'll be stocking up on arrows for as much as we can.
I assume that's like the item for this dungeon, that this dungeon is like built around?
Yeah, because coming up there will be some enemies, such as this red Agar in this room right here, where you cannot defeat it without the bow. Alright, so now coming up is Armos Knights.
Our first official boss.
Yeah.
As you can see,
there we go.
You can defeat Armos very quickly if you're very good with your arrow shots, because the arrows shoot really fast, so we're just able to basically do it like that.
Yeah, so what I did there was I did that fight pretty specifically in a way where the last Armos will normally turn red and regains all of his health, but I did that fight in a way where the last one, I could defeat the last one before it turns red and regains all of his health back. So it's pretty specific, but it's not too bad once you get enough practice in that fight. And now that we have the pendants from the first dungeon, we're going to go ahead and talk to Sahasrahla and get the Pegasus boots, which is where the pacing of the run starts to increase, because we're going to start moving faster. And then I'm going to take a little bit of a detour here, get some rupees. It's technically faster to skip these rupees and get some other rupees later, but I'm not very consistent with that route, so I choose to get these rupees. And now with the Pegasus boots, something else that you can do with the Pegasus boots is, okay, very nice. So what I just did there is if I pressed A, the frame after I release my spin attack, then I am put into a super speed state to where if I come out of stairs, I can just move really fast.
Yep.
And that is exclusive to Japanese 1.0. Some tricks in the Japanese 1.0 version of this game only work in this very specific version. So that saves about a minute in total, assuming you nail all of them. So that's why the main competition is on Japanese 1.0 in this game. And you'll notice that while the trick does look really cool, it's not always worth doing because of the time that it takes to set up. So like in that screen earlier on the way to the library, it barely saves anything if I try to go for it. Oh, and then the other thing about Japanese 1.0 is that the Japanese text saves about a minute over English. So overall, this version of the game saves 2 minutes. And I guess we can now talk about Pegs' boots dashing. So you'll notice that there's a start animation every single time I dash, so it's not worth dashing all the time. So in order to optimize dashing in this game, if where you need to dash to is about 4.5 tiles or more, then it is worth dashing. Otherwise, for some of the shorter distances, or if or some other circumstances, then it is worth blocking.
And I saw you moving over water. Was that just like shallow water that you can normally walk over? Is
Yeah,
that
you can
something
walk over
It's just
shallow water.
Okay,
Yeah.
But
okay.
dashing through water is slower, so I was trying to avoid the water in that previous screen there.
Yeah.
So this dungeon is a pretty good demonstration of how useful dashing is, because there's a lot of long hallways, and obviously it's much faster to dash through these long hallways.
Yeah. A lot of back and forth as well. So
Yeah.
very helpful. Nice.
All right. We do have time for more donations and announcements. But before we get that, I do want to answer that question. My favorite Zelda game is, of course, A Link to the Past. This is actually the first game I started speedrunning back in 2012. But my favorite, but also another one of my favorite Zelda games I really like playing is Twilight Princess.
That's a good choice. For me, I would say Ocarina of Time or either Majora's Mask, because I grew up with those. In terms of speedrunning, I only speedrun A Link to the Past, which is really funny to consider. But yeah.
Yeah.
We do have someone chiming in with their favorite Zelda game, because Scala Kitty donated $25 to True Color United to say, my favorite Zelda game is A Link Between Worlds. So in honor of
Ooh.
Best Shopkeeper Ravio, here's 5 tickets for the train. And of course, that went towards our UFO 50 bonus pin golf run, getting us there within about, $250. We're well past, or we're past that $100 mark, so that's a big threshold to hit. And also, chat, our Quest for Glory class bid war is now officially tied. Fighter and Thief are neck and neck with $25 apiece. So if you want to snipe that one, you got some time. Someone's got to break that tie.
So now we're in the second part of the dungeon. Desert Palace, as well as a few other dungeons, are pretty unique in that there are multiple ways of going about with the dungeon, and so now we're on the second part. What I just did earlier was a key dash, where if your dash animation, if you happen to run to the locked door on your fourth pixel dash animation, then you can dash right to the locked door without having to bonk into it. And there's plenty of visual cues to line up your fourth pixel, so that way you don't have to eyeball it every single time. Alright, so we're coming up to a pretty frustrating boss when optimizing really good times, which is land molas. So we'll see how this goes. You want to talk about the land mola fight, AD?
Yeah. Yeah, this fight is very interesting and just it's more RNG heavy in terms of where they're coming from and then also where they're going to. And so like sometimes you'll have like some really long times to like get those hits in with the arrows or a sword, but then like sometimes they'll like go like very short distance and you can like do like no hits just like that.
Yeah,
it's very not fun sometimes.
yeah.
You did it pretty well, so
Yeah, and I have good, and my arrow count's still really good, so really happy with that. So yeah, this fight's really frustrating when trying to optimize, when you're really trying to push your times down. If you're really good, you can get 2 cycles, but it's also RNG because, like AD said, the land molas do have a chance of doing a short hop, which means you have less time to get arrows in. Okay, good. All right, so So yeah, now that we're out of Desert Palace, we're going to do another Japanese 1.0 trick called fake flippers. So right now I don't have flippers, which means I cannot swim. However, if I screen transition on the very last pixel, then the game will give me the ability to swim. And hopefully I can get through this part, because if I get hit, for whatever reason, then I soft lock. Okay, so here's my fake flippers, and I need to swim to this whirlpool over here. So Zora's not in a good spot. Okay, we made it through. No soft lock. The run continues.
Awesome. Yeah, that Zora placement was very, very concerning for a second.
Alright, so now we're going to head over to the Dark Cave, and we're going to be greeted by this old man, and we cannot dash with him. Well, we can, but it doesn't go any faster. Something else that's worth noting about text is all 4 face buttons can advance through text, but L and R, as well as Start and Select, advance through the very last text box. So what some people will do is they actually memorize how many text boxes there are in every instance of dialogue in order to know when to mash L and R, so that way they're not accidentally using an item when they don't mean to.
Yeah.
Alright, so he's going to give us the mirror, and the mirror is going to be really useful in this next upcoming dungeon. And so these boulders here they fall down randomly, so you can get very destroyed in this part on the way to the next dungeon, and there's not really much you can do about it.
Yeah, it's just what happens sometimes. But yeah, like talking about the magic mirror more specifically, it's not very useful here currently for the overworld, but it'll become useful later. But in dungeons, a mechanic that you can use, and we'll be seeing very soon, is we're able to use the magic mirror to teleport to the beginning of the dungeon. And so we're able to use that ability to like quickly warp after getting something like a key or something like an item. Just like that. Just helps us maneuver through the dungeons very quickly.
I was gonna say that's like akin to a lot of other Zelda games where they do like save and quit to kind of go back to the start of the dungeons.
Basically, yeah. In the context of A Link to the Past speedrunning, save and quit is not allowed for this specific category. There are other categories like that allow it, but the main category for A Link to the Past is no save and quit, since it can be used to like kind of break the game easily. And so
yeah, and it's also a legacy rule set from like the history from like ancient times when Link to the Past speedruns were being developed during SDA era.
Yeah,
it's interesting. I didn't know that.
yeah. The magic mirror basically acts as a save and quit, but like not really. So we're just able to use it instead of actually saving and quitting.
Yeah. Alright, so we got the big key, and now we're heading on to the main part of the Tower of Hera. So here we go. Just gonna go ahead and defeat all these beetles here. We're approaching, coming up is our next sequence break, which is called a bomb jump. So the item of this dungeon is called the Moon's Pearl, and normally to get it, I have to go up to the top floor and then fall down the pit in order to reach the chest. But if I position myself in a specific position, then I can boost my way across the pit. Nice.
Just like that, and then we're just able to activate that, and we're back to what we were doing.
Yeah.
Those types of boosts are very helpful in, I believe, 2 other dungeons. I don't know the specific route, but at least 2 very useful cases you can use that to get some items, keys, whatever you need.
Yeah.
In any dungeon that have those like types of gaps there. Oh, Moldon.
I get anxious every time I see this boss.
Oh boy.
Oh,
Oh my god.
okay.
Oh, come on. Uh-oh. Okay.
Ooh, okay.
I
don't
was
know what
I was
that
holding my breath
scary.
there. I
Oh my
was
gosh.
edge of my seat stuff.
Yeah, so that's classic Moldorm.
Yeah.
Classic shenanigans.
So as you can tell right there, you can only hit him on the tail. The head knocks you around a bit, and if you fall down, the fight resets and he gains all of his health back.
Yeah.
And then if you fall in the middle hole, then you fall down 2 floors, which adds more to the time loss. But something that you saw me do there was when I was getting knocked around was there were several instances where it looked like I was about to fall down, but if you hold your sword out, then you don't fall down as easily. So it helps mitigate your chances of falling down. Typically, you know, when you fight Moldorm several hundred times, you can kind of recognize like what kind of movement Moldorm's gonna do, but you can never fully predict what he's gonna do.
All right, while we are traveling, you have a second for a couple donations?
Yeah, sure.
All right, we have a couple donations to True Colors United, and also people buying train tickets to the $5 train and telling me all about their favorite Zelda games. First off is Chex Human with $5 saying, just tears. I'm assuming that means Tears of the Kingdom. Maybe this whole series brings them to tears, but I've heard nothing but amazing things about Tears of the Kingdom. And then Leggy Starscream also chiming in $5 for the train, saying $5 for my favorite Zelda game, Echoes of Wisdom. Both
Ooh.
because I get to play as Zelda, but also because of the incredibly impressive toolkit you can use to solve puzzles. I've seen runs of this. It is like super cool. I love seeing people like stack beds and stuff to solve puzzles.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like that one's kind of under the radar, even though it's a recent release.
Yeah.
So folks, you know, $5, shout out your favorite Zelda game. I want to know all about your favorite Zelda game. ! Donate in chat to get that link. And remember that we do have open polls and targets, and you could select both. Your money goes towards both. So even if you're only donating $5, that $5 can go towards both a poll and a target. You just have to make sure you select that when you do your donation.
Alright, so we got the Massive Sword, which is our first sword upgrade, and we actually do need it in order to enter this next part of the run, which is we're going back to Hyrule Castle, but this time we're going to go to another part. A lot of people in the community like to call it Aghanim's Tower, but it's officially called Castle Dungeon. Castle Dungeon is essentially like a gauntlet of like several enemies going in several different rooms. So it's a pretty technical part of the halfway mark of the run here. So there's a couple different ways to go about with this room. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lure these guys to the bottom and then do 2 spin attacks on them. And then right here... Oh, that's not good. Okay. I was trying to do a bit of a manipulation, which will manipulate a fairy drop later on in the game, but unfortunately, I did not get a good enough pattern to where that strat was going to work. So I just gotta hope that I get a fairy drop whenever that opportunity comes. Shouldn't be too bad, but we'll see what happens when we actually get there. Oh, man. With the Massive Sword does, obviously our sword damage is going to do more damage, but then also at full HP, we have sword beams. And sword beams are pretty useful for defeating enemies from a distance, as well as hitting like switches later on from a distance. So in some parts, you know, health management is a pretty important part of the run.
Yeah. Yeah, trying to like maintain full health is like a very crucial thing in certain dungeons. for multitude of reasons, but the main reason for either sword beams or just the boss is very difficult, and needing full health will be very helpful for us.
Yeah. Okay, so coming up is Aghanim. So I want everybody in the chat to get their guesses in as to how many blue balls I am going to get. So the way the Aghanim fight works is Aghanim is a cycle of 5 attacks. The first attack is an energy shot, and then attacks 2, 3, and 4 is an energy shot or a blue ball. 50% chance for either one of them. And then the 5th attack is a lightning, and the cycle repeats itself until the fight's over. Aghanim takes 6 energy shots to be defeated. And so if you don't miss any of the energy shots, then your unluckiest odds come out to be 15. It's extremely rare. So rare that only 2 people have ever gotten it. And then if you're really lucky, then you can get 0. So we'll see what happens.
My guess will be 4. I'm gonna be very middle on it.
So the other optimization I'm doing in the fight here is I'm trying to hit Aghanim in the center as much as possible, so that way he doesn't move from left to right as far. So I got 1 blue ball already. I'm seeing some 4s, 3s, 6s, and 2s. That's 2. Okay, 2 blue balls.
2.
All right.
Nice.
Thank you, Aghanim, for blessing me the good RNG.
Oh yes, my favorite part of running on NTSCU.
Yeah, so that is fortunately in this category, that is one of the biggest RNG section. If you're running like 100%, then Aghanim is not as significant, but you can still lose quite a bit of time if you get really unlucky. So now we're getting to we're in the Dark World, the second part of the run here. Essentially, the Dark World is like a counterpart of the Light World. With 7 more dungeons left to go, and right now we have to do the first dungeon, which is Palace of Darkness, and then after Palace of Darkness, then the game really starts to open up, which also means that the game does have a set order as to how you should do the Dark World dungeons, but you can actually deviate from it, and that's what we're going to be doing in this run.
Yeah, after Palace of Darkness, like you said, the game opens up so much that we're able to do practically, not entirely, but practically any dungeon in the order, obviously with its own restrictions of items and all that, but practically is what I'm trying to say. But, yeah. Also, this is Kiki the Monkey.
Yeah, he's greedy. He wants 110 rupees in order to open up the dungeon, and you want to try not get hit, which isn't too bad, as long as you go when you understand the enemy patterns. Then it's not difficult to avoid getting hit. So yeah. All right. So Palace of Darkness. It's essentially East Palace, but like much harder. So we have to pretty much grab a couple of keys, and this is where the mirror is really useful because there's going to be a couple of instances where we're going to be going down different floors, grabbing a key, and then mirror out instead of, and that's much faster than trying to find your way back up to the main floor.
This is the main dungeon where it showcases the true power of the mirror in dungeons.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much. The first half is just entirely go one area, mirror out. So yeah.
Alright, so after I get this key, this next upcoming key, then there is another trick coming up, another major sequence break. This is called Hammer Bomb Jump. So the way this trick works is it's double pixel perfect, where I have to place the bomb in a pixel perfect position, as well as myself in a perfect position, in order to clip through a railing in order to get the item earlier than intended. All that while setting up over a collapsing bridge. So we'll see how this goes here. So a little bit of serious time for a little bit. Nice.
Nice.
Good work.
So that skips needing to get 2 extra keys as well as going through the dark maze. So that saves a lot of time in this dungeon.
Yeah. And normally you would have to go all the way up to that bridge, go to the room to the right first to get a key to open the room to the left, which is that room that was pitch black. Then do that whole area, get that key, get the hammer, and then you would magic mirror out. But doing that skips a lot of that, and so it's very, very useful to do that.
Exactly. Alright, so we're gonna refill on hearts, because having full HP for the second half of this dungeon, or at least for the rest of the dungeon, is really useful. We got mimics, which they move around based on how you move. And then over here, I can just use a sword beam in order to hit that switch. So this is the first instance where having sword beams is really useful. Otherwise, I have to, menu to bow, use it, switch to hammer, and then switch back to bow. And it's a couple seconds per menu, so you want to make sure you have full HP going to this part. And same thing right here, use a sword beam in order to hit that switch. And then we have the turtle room coming up. Let's see how this goes. Pretty good pattern. Oh, I'm gonna wait for him to come back up.
Nice, yeah. Better be safe.
Yeah.
That was a good room, though.
Yeah, very good room.
Yep, we're already at the boss. This is the final thing that we're going to be doing.
Yeah, so coming up is Helmasaur King, so why don't you go ahead and talk about Helmasaur King as I do this fight?
Yeah, so Helmasaur is a boss where you need to has 2 phases basically. First phase is trying to get the helmet off of his face. Then second phase is you have to now shoot his face or sword his face. He has 3 different attacks. He has this little dashing you're seeing. He has this little fire thing. I don't know what you would really call it. And then we didn't see it, I think. He can use his tail to hit you. In the first phase with the helmet, he only does 1, but then in the second phase, he does 2 at a time, or if he really hates you, all 3.
Yeah.
And it really can throw you off, but you did a really good fight, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that fight can be really rough. All of his attacks do 2 heart of damage. So this is actually the first instance where having Sanctuary Heart, the Sanctuary Heart that I picked up, can be really useful, because then you can take an extra hit, assuming you come into this with full hearts. Because I came to that fight with 7 hearts, and otherwise without the Sanctuary Heart container, you come in with 6.
Yeah.
All right, so now that
it's very useful.
Yeah, very useful. So now that we completed the first Dark World dungeon, now this is where the Dark World starts to open up, and we're going to be doing the dungeons in several different orders. Obviously, of course, with a few restrictions. And so the next dungeon that we're going to go to is the 4th Dark World dungeon. Because the 4th Dark World dungeon has an item that really opens up the Dark World. It also opens up a really useful side quest that's completely optional, but it saves so much time in the later half of the game that it's worth doing. So as we make our way to that dungeon, we do have time for donations or announcements.
Yeah, I do want to ask real quick, what is it about that side quest that saves you so much time?
So the item is the Titansmiths, and the Titansmiths will open up a side quest that'll allow us to upgrade our sword, and it just saves a significant amount of time in the...
Get in stronger hits.
Exactly.
Nice, nice. All right, I wanted to give a quick update for our UFO 50 bonus pin golf run. We are still at about $225 away from hitting that. I really want to see that. I've played a little bit of UFO 50. I couldn't beat pin golf. I want to see someone beat that and absolutely shred it. So chat. I've mentioned this before, but I know we've had people joining us over time. We are trying to keep a $5 train rolling where we're talking about our favorite Zelda games. So we've had a couple of people buying tickets. My personal favorite is Link's Awakening DX on, the extra color dungeon really justified me working all summer to buy that Game Boy Color. But curious what you guys' favorites Zelda game is, and a reminder, all this money is going towards True Colors United, which is a wonderful cause. This year, True Colors United is assisting the regional shelter partners around deportation raids and the rights of young people who are seeking services, pushing back on the federal government's DEI bans, and advocating for HUD funding that directly supports young people experiencing homelessness. And they're pushing for protection legislation in support of young people experiencing homelessness despite many challenges in Congress. Your support is more important than ever and deeply appreciated.
Thank you very much. So on our way to the dungeon, you saw that I picked up the flute, which is going to be our main transportation item that will allow us to fly around the overworld. It is required, despite it being a fast travel system, but also it just saves a lot of time outside of the one requirement that we need it for. And now we're going into Thieves Town, which is our fourth Dark World dungeon. We do not need the items from the second or third dungeon in order to complete this dungeon. This dungeon's really easy to go through. So yeah. So we're going to go ahead and head down over here to grab the big key. And now we're going to go through some more. Oh boy. It was a little bit rough, but that's fine. Gonna go ahead and dash through this long hallway to pick up this key over here. And now coming up is a room known as the Heckway, which is a large room, full conveyor belt room with lots of enemies. They move randomly. We'll see how this goes. So if I position myself at the exact right spot in the middle, then I could set myself up to dash right through the whole room. But even if I get the position, then it's still random because the enemies just get in the way and then you don't get the dash anyway. And I wasn't going to get the dash anyway because I saw that one of the enemies was just slightly in my way. So so you saw that I didn't even try for it. Gonna go ahead and blow up that that floor right there. It seems like it's for no reason. And then we're going to go ahead and head on back down.
And what's the unique item from this dungeon?
Hold up. Okay, there we go. The item is the Titan's Mitts. So earlier in Desert Palace, I picked up an item known as the Power Glove, which allows us to pick up rocks in the overworld. There are stronger rocks in the Dark World that the Titan's Mitts allows us to pick up.
Oh, nice. So that giant thing that you picked up, that's what you are now able to do, I take it.
Well, I'm coming up to the item pretty soon.
Okay. That looked plenty big to me. I didn't know if the power glove was enough for that one or not.
Yeah, there are darker stone rocks that can only be picked up with Titansmiths. So the power glove can only pick up like the white stones. So I picked up the Titansmiths now. Also, I have this maiden that I rescued. She wants to take us out of the dungeon, but if we try to actually do that, she says she doesn't want to go there. And why is that? We take her to this room instead, and I hear boss music. What is this? Oh my gosh, it's a boss this whole time. Oh my goodness.
She got me. I'm completely surprised.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming. Okay, very nice. Alright, so if for anybody who's played this game before, might know that this fight was really hard, but it turns out that this fight is actually very consistent. As long as you fight her the same way every single time. So as long as you come up with a way to fight her every single time, then there shouldn't be any randomness. If you do go off your rhythm within the fight, then it can be pretty disastrous. And also, furthermore, if you happen to die, then the fight is completely random because blind will spawn in right away, and nobody, as far as I know, nobody in the community ever practices the death cycle for that fight, so it could be pretty disastrous.
And I assume, like, because of the speed of that, you don't have time to, like, set back up, and
Yeah.
those patterns aren't known yet.
Yeah. Alright, so now that I have defeated Blind, we're now going to do a couple of things before we head on to our next dungeon. We're going to head down over here and grab 300 rupees. We do actually need a lot of rupees, ideally 500. So we're going to get that 300 rupee chest, and then there's another 300 rupee chest that I will open, which will bring us at 600. We need 500, but that's fine. It's just how the rupee route is. So now that we have the Titansmiths, I can go and lift up those rocks in order to rescue this frog, which is actually a dwarf in the light world. And this dwarf will allow us to upgrade our sword. And like I said earlier, this item is completely optional. This sword upgrade does so much damage in the later part of the run that it is worth picking up this sword upgrade. So we're going to go ahead and leave, come back, talk to the dwarf again. Costs 10 rupees to upgrade our sword. Pretty cheap price. That's what we like. And then it takes a screen transition for the sword to be ready. So, very fast work. They're very fast at their job.
I mean, they know it's a speed run, so they have to work quickly.
Yeah. I'm glad they appreciate that I'm in a hurry.
I mean, you gotta save the kingdom. I figure that they're willing to do a rush order for someone saving the kingdom.
Yeah. But you would imagine that a rush order would cost a little bit more than just 10 rupees.
I mean, you gotta get a discount, again, for saving the world. I understand, like, trying to cover the cost of materials, maybe.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, it seems a little iffy that you're wanting to charge money to the hero of time.
Okay, so now that we got our tempered sword, we're now going to do a lot more damage, and now we're going to head to our third Dark World dungeon known as Skull Woods. So Skull Woods is a pretty complex dungeon because the intention is that you're supposed to get lost because there's a lot of ways to enter this dungeon. But obviously, since I've played this game many, many times, I know the fastest way through this dungeon, but it's still a very difficult dungeon in terms of to execute because right off the bat, the first room here is already the hardest room of the dungeon because these mummies are very erratic. They move based on how your movement. So ideally, if you do the same inputs in that room, then those mummies shouldn't be a problem. But even then, if you're like ever so slightly off on your inputs, then those mummies can be a problem. And even if you're trying to do the right thing, but fortunately, I got through that room just fine. And now we're coming up to the item of the dungeon right away. And in order to get this item, I'm going to do another bomb jump here. Very nice. I'm gonna get this guy out of the way here, so that way he's not a problem. So now that I got the fire rod, we're going to actually complete the dungeon. So as you can imagine, if you know how to go through this dungeon, then it's a very, very short dungeon to go through. Normally, in order to get that fire rod, you're supposed to fall in that 3x3 bush in order to get to the item, but obviously, of course, with the bomb jump, you skip that. And now we're going to go ahead and get to the main part. So we're going to go ahead and pick up this key, avoid the beetle and the wall master, which are those hands that come down from the ceiling. Wall masters are known to being very terrifying enemies in Zelda games.
Rod is what let you enter the this dungeon now?
Yep.
Or this part of the dungeon?
Yeah.
Do you use it other parts of the run?
Yes. So this is kind of the first part where the fire rod is required, because you have to light that torch right there up on the top, otherwise. Ah, okay. Okay, so coming up is Mothula. So this fight can either go really well or really wrong, and there's not really an in-between. So let's see how this goes.
I believe in you.
Uh-oh. Okay, there we go. Okay. Almost very disastrous, but fortunately it didn't go too offhand. You want to defeat Mothula as quick as you can, because as you can tell, it's a constantly moving floor with the spikes moving and then Mothula attacking. So the longer that fight goes, and the more disastrous that fight gets. But fortunately, we got out of there just fine. So that fight is actually pretty specific. You notice that I didn't hit Mothula all the time, and that's because if you hit Mothula while he's over the spikes, then he doesn't actually take any damage at all. So I tried to hit him in a way where he takes damage from the sword, so that way I can defeat him in as few hits as possible. And sometimes, depending on what you get in that room, you don't always get that outcome. So that's why the fight can either go really well or really wrong.
I mean, you were just trying to build up some dramatic tension.
Yeah, gotta keep you guys on the edge of your seat, you know?
Yeah, provide that stream content.
Yeah. You know, sometimes it's not always interesting being too good at the game. Alright, so now that we completed Skullwoods, we're going to make our way to our next dungeon, which is Ice Palace, which is our 5th dungeon, the 5th Dark World dungeon, usually. And on our way to Ice Palace, we do have to get flippers, which cost 500 rupees. Fortunately, I am at that threshold. And while we're getting flippers, we can go ahead and read any more donations or announcements.
Yeah, thank you so much. We did get a $10 donation to True Colors United from Scala Kitty with the comment, "Does this donation count as donating an entire sword to True Colors United?" I mean, $10, 10 rupees, I feel like that's a pretty good exchange rate. And that went to, obviously, our UFO 50 bonus pin golf run, which we are still chugging along, about $225 away. And then I just wanted to give a quick update on where our bid wars are. We have Quest for Glory collection with 2 different bid wars versus the class bid war between Fighter and Thief, where Thief is in the lead, $35 to $30. So $6 is enough to change that bid war in your favor if you are a fan of the Fighter. And then for the character name, Girl in the Tower is still in a commanding lead with $50. And second place is Gnome Ann with $5. We have several other names without any donations, including Rexo and Slowpoke. And again, my favorite, Brave Sir Robin. Where are my fellow fans where we have Brave Sir Robin getting some love? Exclamation mark incentives in chat to learn more about our incentives. And when you are donating, remember you can select both a target and full. You do not have to do either or. Your full amount pledged will go towards both. And all of that money will go to True Colors United, which is a wonderful charity.
So we got our flippers. Took some damage on the way, which is a little bit unfortunate because I ideally want to have full HP going into this dungeon, but it looks like that's not going to be possible due to some unfortunate enemy RNG that I got. But hopefully that's fine. Can be a little bit scary because the enemies in this dungeon can hurt quite a bit, but hopefully it's not too bad. All right, so Ice Palace. Usually when anyone thinks of Ice Palace, it's a pretty dreadful dungeon because it's normally like a very long dungeon of, you know, puzzles, ice physics, and a lot of roundabout areas. But in the speedrun, Ice Palace is actually a really short dungeon because there's a very big sequence break that skips a lot of the dungeon. So hopefully that trick can go pretty well. And actually with this route, this trick is required because you're normally supposed to get the item of the second dungeon in order to do this dungeon, but as you can tell, I didn't actually do that, so I have to nail this trick. The item of this dungeon is blue mail, and we're not going to pick it up at all.
What does that normally do?
It's a defensive armor upgrade that allows me to tank less damage. And because of that, because the game wants us to pick up blue mail, that means that the enemies here are going to do a lot more damage. Alright, so here we go. Nice.
Good work. Yeah, that is impressive.
Yeah, so the pegs, while the pegs are still up, I do a bomb jump in order to get around those pegs. And with those pegs being set up like that, it actually sets the rest of the dungeon up to where I don't have to do any backtracking. So, alright, now because of my health, I'm gonna go ahead and play the safe. Normally you do a damage boost through that spike trap, but I'm gonna attempt to save a heart, and then progress to the rest of the dungeon. Now, because I'm skipping blue mail, that means the boss is going to do a lot of damage if I happen to take damage from him. So let's see how this goes. So we're gonna go and fall down. Move this block onto the switch. And then coming up is Cold Stare, which is the boss of this dungeon, and it's a really scary fight. So let's see how this goes. Yes, there we go.
Wow, that was I looked a second, and then the boss was already gone.
Yeah. So Cold Stare does 4 hearts of damage if you get hit by him, and the ice drops do 2 hearts of damage. So if you're going to get hit in this fight, it would rather prefer to get hit by the ice drops. But fortunately, that fight went really well to where I didn't have to take any damage at all. If you let any of the Cold Stare puffballs get away, then that fight can be very disastrous. So it was very important that I nailed that strat as quick as I could. All right, so and also if you happen to die, then you lose a lot of time because there's not really a good way to sequence break this dungeon at all. You have to do like the bomb jump again and basically the entirety of the dungeon. So this is a very common race category for this game, and so it's very common to where if a runner dies in a race to Cold Stare, then they usually forfeit because it's just too much of a time loss. Alright, so We're going to take a bit of a detour here. We're going to go back to Death Mountain, and we're going to get the Ether Medallion. This is... me getting Ether at this point is a bit suboptimal. It's technically faster to get this after the next dungeon, but the reason I like to do this is because it doesn't save a whole lot of time getting Ether after the next dungeon. And also, this guarantees full hearts when I actually do that dungeon, because I'll get out of the way here instead of the next part. So yeah. So we're going to get Ether here, and then I'm going to get another item, which is the Ice Rod. This one right here, it doesn't really matter when you get this, but you do need to get the Ice Rod at some point. Because it is a required item in order to defeat the boss of Turtle Rock later on. So, and then because it's like very far out of the way, it's sometimes pretty easy to forget. So may as well get it right now before I forget.
And I know you said you're doing like dungeons out of order and you're not getting every item, but I assume you still have to do all 7 Dark World dungeons, right?
Yes. Because you need to get all 7 crystals in order to enter Ganon's Tower at the very end of the game.
And then how many of the dungeon items are you skipping?
Well, Blue Mail is... So I skipped Blue Mail. I am also skipping Mirror Shield in Turtle Rock, as well as Red Mail's also optional in Ganon's Tower, which ideally is your last item, but I'll think about whether I'll pick that up or not for the sake of safety. So yeah, like 3 dungeon items that are optional, ideally. Alright, so now we're going to Swamp Palace. Which is actually now our supposed to be our second intended Dark World dungeon, but we're doing it now as our 5th dungeon. And the routing just works out this way, that we now do this at this point. And so Swamp Palace is pretty much a nice breathing point of the run. You know, you did Ice Palace, you did Skull Woods and Ice Palace both back to back, and now we get a breathing point of the run. Because this is supposed to be our second Dark World dungeon, enemies are not going to do a lot of damage here. So I'm very likely to come out of this dungeon mostly unscathed. It's just mostly reading and reacting to enemy patterns to make sure I'm not losing time all over the place. And that's pretty much it. There's not really a way to skip a whole lot of this dungeon, so mostly doing this dungeon intended, so we do have time for donations or announcements as we go through this dungeon.
Sure thing, I got you covered. First, I have a $12.50 donation to True Color United from That Windless with their comment, I was going to pitch 1,250 zenny, but they were asking for rupees? How many swords does this buy you? Regardless, all I do know is that this donation helps out with a cause that's very dear to me. Neko Phase says trans rights. And you know what? I will also be bold and say trans rights. And that is a reminder that we are raising money for True Colors United. True Colors United implements innovative solutions to youth homelessness that has a focus on the unique experience of LGBTQ plus young people. LGBTQ plus youth are 120% more likely to face homelessness than their peers, while Black youth are 83% and Latin youth are 33% more likely. True Colors United is guided by 2 core beliefs. Those who've experienced an issue firsthand hold the keys to the solution, and improving outcomes for the most impacted community benefits everyone. So, again, !charity in the chat to learn more about what True Colors United is doing, and !donate for your chance to donate to this great cause. It's been a hot minute since we've got any Zelda updates, and I apologize. I should be handing out train tickets because we were doing a $5 donation train. I'm never going to complain about getting more than $5. So I owe people a couple, at least more than one ticket. But earlier we were talking about some of our favorite Zelda games. I know we have plenty of Zelda fans in the chat. So go ahead and when you hit that exclamation mark donate and go to our Tiltify link, give me a comment. Tell me what your favorite Zelda game is. I know it's sometimes hard to find like a funny or a witty message. So I'm also just happy to give a shout out to your favorite Zelda game to give it a little bit of love.
And I will one up that and encourage you guys to let us know who your favorite character is in the franchise, possibly.
Oh, do you have a favorite?
What's that?
I was gonna say, do you have a favorite?
My favorite, Twilight Princess Zelda.
Nice. What's reason for that specifically?
I think she has a really cool design in comparison to a lot of other Zelda. Like all the Zeldas are really cool in the franchise, but I especially love the design of Twilight Princess Zelda.
Nice. Yeah, my favorite is probably Sheik because I mean, that's some like real non-binary goals when you're able to pull off that look, but also spoilers also be Zelda. That's pretty rad. But also, you know, shout out to Zelda and Breath of the Wild, who looks fantastic when they're wearing their desert garb for the Garuda area of the game, right?
Yeah.
So, folks, exclamation mark donate. Get in your Zelda opinions. I want to hear them.
Okay, so coming up is Argus, so let's see how this goes here. So we got the hook shot, and you do need the hook shot in order to defeat these puff balls that are surrounding Argus. Okay. Alright, there we go. So this is, because, you know, with doing the second Dark World dungeon so late in the run, we have these like very overpowered items. Otherwise, normally, you know, if you're actually doing this as your second Dark World dungeon with the Master Sword, then it takes 2 slashes to defeat those puff balls. So, this is where the Tempered Sword really starts to have its major benefits. Or I mean, we've been seeing its major benefits in these dungeons, but it especially shines in the late game dungeons.
I would say so because again, I looked down at chat and I looked back up and there was no more boss.
Yeah, so as you can see, you know, very simple dungeon to go through, and now so we completed dungeons 1 through 5 at this point. So now we have 6, 7, 8 left, and we are going to be doing 6, 7, 8 in that order. So our next dungeon is Misery Mire, and we do need Ether in order to enter the dungeon, and I already picked up Ether on our way to Swamp Palace, so we're just going to go straight to Misery Mire. And not have to deal with the RNG of Death Mountain like I did earlier, which is the main reason why I got Ether earlier instead of at this point. Alright, so pay attention. The way I picked up that rock is actually going to be important in this dungeon, and we'll go over that later. But that actually does manipulate some stuff in the game that sets up for a trick in Misery Mire later on. Okay, so here's the part where we need Ether. I forgot to give a slight flashing lights warning there, but it's all over now in that very small section. And so here we go. So Misery Mire, the 6th Dark World dungeon. We have enemies here that do 4 hearts of damage because, you know, we're supposed to complete Ice Palace, which I have, but I don't have Blue Mail, so these enemies will hurt a lot. Okay, very nice. So having Sword Beams there allows me to set up what's known as the Zero Cycle Mire. And Zero Cycle is defeating all those Wizrobes before they all have a chance to disappear. And so I managed to successfully do that, and now we go through the dungeon. You want to make sure you conserve as much health as possible, because the fastest way to defeat the boss of this dungeon requires a ton of intentional damage. So this is this part of the run is pretty rough. And fortunately, this is one of the few Zelda games where grabbing the heart container at the end of dungeons is a required thing. So, you know, going into this dungeon with like 12 hearts, you know, quite a bit of hearts, but you know, with these enemies doing a lot of damage, that damage can really add up. So what I did there in order to light up those torches is, as I am pushing the block, you can actually shoot a fire rod while the blocks are moving, which allows me to shoot the fire rod through those blocks without having to solve the puzzle the intended way, which is, of course, moving all the blocks in a way where you can light up all the torches. So grab the big key there, and then we'll pretty soon be on our way to the item of the dungeon known as the Can of Samaria. Can of Samaria is a pretty cool item where you place blocks down, which can be used to solve a puzzle. Then you can also use it again in order to detonate the block and shoot out beams in 4 different directions. And then in the next dungeon, it can be used to create a moving platform in order to progress to the next part. So dash through this laser bridge, grab the Can of Samaria, and we're going to take 3 intentional damage, hopefully, in this room in order to grab a key in the spikes. Just like that, I'm going to pick up that heart because the enemy was nice enough to drop a heart for me.
Nice, and I assume that's where you would have first started using the cane, is to go past the spikes?
The first required part of the Can of Samaria is coming up right now.
But I would say casually, right? You're probably trying to get over spikes with that?
No. There are items that prevent you from taking spike damage, but obviously those are optional, so we don't pick those up.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so coming up is a trick known as Spooky Mire Glitch. So earlier I said to pay attention to how I lifted up that rock in the overworld earlier, and that actually sets up for this trick here. So it's gonna look really weird. Okay, there we go. So what happened there is I just hit a switch off screen. I'm gonna do it again here in this room. Just like that. And that hits the switch up in the very next room. And then we're gonna do it again here in this room. And there we go. So that manipulates some stuff. I don't know all the full technical details, but essentially, you hit switches off screen. It actually manipulates the fire rod hitbox.
In chat, we got a lot of eyes on you here to see if we're going to get more donations in. As I think we're quickly powering through that boss. I could barely make the joke before that was over.
Yeah, so as you can see right there, that is the part of the game where health management is very important. You take a lot of intentional damage in order to defeat all those eyeballs. So basically, the going into the goo, you take 1 heart of damage, and it's important that you take damage from the goo instead of the eyeballs, because the eyeballs do 4 hearts of damage. So if you happen to mess up the fight for whatever reason, then that fight's just super rough. So fortunately, we got through that fight just fine. Alright, so 6 Dark World dungeons completed. Now we're going to go back to Death Mountain again and make our way to Turtle Rock. So here we go. So last chance for RNG to go against my favor in Death Mountain. So once again, the falling rocks, as well as these dead rocks here, they move randomly, and you can't really. It's kind of hard to predict where they're gonna go. So sometimes you can just lose a lot of hearts, and there's not really a whole lot that you can do about it. But unfortunately, we got past that part. Now we just gotta go ahead and make our climb to the top of the mountain through this side. So on our way, when we picked up flippers, we actually picked up another medallion known as Quake, and we do need Quake in order to enter Turtle Rock. Ugh. Okay, should be fine. That was a little bit unfortunate, but... So if you hook dash, if you item dash with the hook shot, which I guess I didn't explain item dashing. So if you use an item and dash in the same frame, then use the item at the same time. You saw it quite a bit of times with the hammer throughout several parts, but if you if you item dash with the hook shot, then you get super speed, and it's much easier setting it up than using the spin attack. And that was the part where we need Quake. So, all right. So Turtle Rock. This dungeon is pretty rough in terms of magic management. You do use up a lot of magic in order to use the Cane of Samaria in order to create these platforms here, as well as shooting these. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I thought a little bit ahead of myself here, so let's try this again here. Okay, that's what I was supposed to do. I guess I got a little bit too excited that that I decided to use the hook shot earlier than I was supposed to. So as you can see with the hook shot, if you use the hook shot, then enemies can go right through you without getting hit. So I take advantage of that, and I mirrored back to the beginning of the dungeon mainly for safety, so that way I didn't have to deal with those spiky rollers on the way out, and it loses about 3 seconds. All right, so we have pokies, and they do 4 hearts of damage if you get hit by them. And these chain chomps also do 4 hearts of damage. Okay, all right, that wasn't good. They played nice this time. They move randomly, so you can get some very unfortunate RNG in that room, and it's super rough. You can just die very quickly in that room. And unfortunately, we didn't see that today. Gonna pick up these arrows here. And we have another room with pokies. There's a lot of Mario enemies, as you can tell. You know, pokies, chain chomps.
Yeah, I always thought Link's Awakening was unique for having the Mario crossover enemies.
Yeah. Legend of Zelda really likes their Mario references.
We did have a question in the chat. Do you also play randomizer, or you only do...
Yeah, I play randomizer.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't play as competitively. I do it every once in a while. But yeah, randomizers are really fun to do every once in a while when I'm not feeling up to the grind. Yeah, this community has a lot of really cool stuff. You know, there's randomizers, a lot of different resources on how to get into speedrunning this game. So this is a very approachable game, speedrunning and randomizers. Alright. So I am skipping the item here, which is the mirror shield. You're supposed to need it, but there is a way to bypass that requirement.
You don't have any, like, redirecting light puzzles or anything like that requires it?
Basically, the mirror shield in this game deflects laser beams, and that's really all it does. Which coming up, there's gonna be a room with lots of lasers, and you're supposed to use the mirror shield in order to deflect those beams. But there is a way around it here coming up. Just like that. And now we are going to make our way to the end of the dungeon now. Okay.
And I did want to welcome in our raiders. Thank you for joining us for Power Up with Pride 2025, raising money for True Colors United. Go ahead and hit !donate and chat. We have several incentives and polls open. We are still trying to hit our bonus pin golf run. So please pitch in, help out if you can. Thank you.
All right, so this is Trinex here. Ice Rod on the Fire Head, and then Fire Rod on the Ice Head. So you want to use... So this is the only part of the game where the Ice Rod is required. So if you haven't picked up the Ice Rod at this point, then you will be stuck at this fight. And then the very last phase here, just simply slashed its weak spot multiple times, and there you go. There we go, that's the fight. Now, interestingly, heart containers always spawn at where you defeat the boss, but this is the only boss where the heart container only spawns in the middle, because Trinex can go out of bounds, which would mean the heart container could be in an inaccessible area. So it's good that the game, that the developers considered that Trinex could go out of bounds. Alright, so we finally rescued Zelda, as well as all the 7 maidens, so now it is time to go to Ganon's Tower. And while we do that, you do have time for one donation or announcement before we get to Ganon's Tower.
Sounds good, I have you. Alice Rujatsu donated $10 to True Colors United with the comment, 2 tickets to the train. As a Master System kid, my favorite Zelda game is Golden Axe Warrior. I'm not sure that's actually a Zelda game, but I wasn't a Master System kid, so I have no way of verifying this. But thank you so much for the donation, and again, we are trying to work our way towards our UFO 50 bonus pin golf run, as well as I've been just trying to learn from chat, you know, for at least $5, I just want to shout out your favorite Zelda game. I've played only a couple of them, so I'd love to know, what is your favorite Zelda game? We were asking earlier as well, what is our favorite Zelda character? So !donate and let me know.
Alright, so coming up is Ganon's Tower. So usually, you know, if AD was still here, then we would I would let him do about most of the commentary, because I tend to focus a lot, but I'll try my best here. Alright, so Ganon's Tower is similar to Castle Dungeon, to where it's essentially like a large gauntlet of a lot of, you know, puzzles, as well as several rooms where we fight a bunch of enemies. So it's a very... This dungeon is a combination of basically everything that we've been doing so far in this run. So it's kind of like the biggest skill check that really separates different tiers of runners in this game. Alright, so we're gonna grab a few keys, use the iframes to go through those spike traps. I'm gonna go ahead and bonk over this fire snake. Okay. Grab that other key. And pretty shortly, we're approaching one of many boss rematches. So all the Light World bosses that we fought in the beginning, they actually make a return, except with a bit of a twist to make them harder. So the first boss that we're going to be fighting is Armos Knights again, but this time Armos Knights are on ice. So we'll see how this goes here. And I have a lot of arrows, so hopefully I don't waste all my arrows in this fight. Very nice.
Good work. Yeah, that was super quick.
Yeah, it's a similar concept there, where you want to make sure the last Armos does not turn red, otherwise he regains all of his health. So that was actually, and the way I fought that was actually a strat that I learned very recently, so I am glad that worked out. Alright, so I'm gonna All right, so Starwind did ask me if I was going what optional items I'm going to be skipping, and I have decided that I will be picking this up. Red Mail is a defensive armor upgrade that allows me to take less damage, and the final boss, Ganon, he does 8 hearts of damage if I happen to get hit by him for whatever reason, but also all of his attacks do 4 hearts of damage, so I want to make sure that we go through this the rest of the game relatively unscathed, hopefully. Hold up. Okay. Okay, there we go.
And we do have a quick donation while you're making your way through the dungeon. Skull Kitty coming in with another $10 for True Color United, saying, everybody knows the best Zelda game is Newtopia. So again, I don't know whether or not that's true, but someone's going to have to tell me in a donation if that is really the best Zelda game.
You know what? I accept their opinion. All right, so coming up is 5 rooms all back to back in a row, which is known as the Gauntlet. Ah, come on. Oh my goodness. Oh, okay, there we go. Yeah, it's a lot of reading and reacting to different enemy patterns. I'm gonna pick up that heart. Okay. And now coming up is Landmolas again, and this time since we have the Fire Rod, it's much stronger than using arrows. Okay, unfortunately this second Landmola kind of got away from me, so I'm gonna have to... Okay, there we go. Now, even though it takes 2 Fire Rod shots, I opted to use my sword, which is strong enough to defeat him pretty quickly in order to save magic. There have been instances in marathon runs from some people where you do run out of magic, and you do need magic at this point of the dungeon. So try and make sure I avoid that situation, otherwise you lose a lot of time. Okay, and then in order to hit this switch, I'm going to go and use the Fire Rod, just like that. And I'm going to go ahead and fill up on more magic here, because I will need magic in order to light up these 4 torches. Just like that. Okay. Gonna fill up on magic once again, and then now coming up is Moldorm. Now, technically, there is a way to skip this fight involving a very insanely difficult trick, but I'm not gonna do it. It saves 6 seconds if you get it first try.
I don't know, I feel like you got through that fight awfully quick anyways.
Yeah. So when you're just fighting him, fortunately, it's a bit easier with stronger items and more room to work off of. So in that sense, Moldorm was easier than when we previously fought him. Alright, so now coming up is Aghanim again, and well, let's see how this goes this time. So Aghanim will clone himself, and you want to hit the energy shots at the real Aghanim, and just like last time, it takes 6 energy shots to beat him. And because you want to try and hit the energy shots at Aghanim, if you're really good, you can defeat him in 2 cycles, but that requires really good geometry, as well as he can just give you a blue ball randomly, which means you don't get the 2 cycle. Okay, there we go. Alright, so we have a lot of hearts, and now we're approaching Ganon, which is the final fight. So, the casual viewer might be thinking, but wait, you don't have silver arrows. How are you going to beat Ganon? Well, you'll see. There is a way to beat Ganon without silver arrows. So, we'll see how this goes. So, with the Tempered Sword, it takes 12 hits on the first 2 phases to move on to the next phase. And the hits do not carry over. So... Okay. This might be, yeah, I might have to go through another cycle. Yeah. That's okay.
It's okay, you got this.
And like I said, all of his attacks do 4 hearts of damage, so, the red mail is already paying off. And now in this third phase, he's going to stomp the ground. It takes 1 hit for him to stomp the ground. He also does warp randomly. So there's quite a bit of variance in this fight in terms of time. Alright, so this 4th phase here. Nice. So if I light the left torch before the right torch goes out, then the right torch will never go out. And that saves a lot of magic in this fight. So I'm doing these very precise spin attacks in order to hit him. And this is allows me to skip needing silver arrows for this fight.
It's okay, you got this, chat. Let's get some cheers in chat. We're right here, we're against Ganon. I believe in you, and I believe in chat. There you go.
Okay. Time's coming up. Time.
Nice,
right.
GG.
1:30:19, which is actually a PB.
Oh wow, congrats.
Thank you. Wow. Oh man, I was not expecting much out of that, considering the beginning, the first half of the run was starting off pretty rough for me. So I did not expect a PB out of this, but I'm glad that happened, and I'm also glad that I was able to pull it off, because I will admit that throughout the 2 weeks that I spent practicing for this run, none of them were going well. So I'm really happy that it paid off this time.
Awesome, great work. Any last words, shout outs you want to give?
Yeah, so if you like what you saw, and like to know more, I stream the Zelda games pretty often. I'm live at mchan338 on Twitch, and I'm also a Let's Player on YouTube. It's youtube.com/itsmchan338 for variety content out of me for Let's Plays. I also stream, I also speedrun Mario games as well. So if you like Zelda and Mario, then my Twitch channel is up there. Also, thank you to AD. I know AD is not here anymore, but you know, thank you for filling in for the first half of the run while you were here. Thank you to Starwind for the host.
Yeah, anytime. This was a lot of fun. I always love being able. It's a real honor when the runners are like willing to have me chime in and ask dumb questions. I don't run anything myself, so I'm always trying to like learn new stuff.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, especially with you giving you know, insights and interacting. It was a lot of fun. And I would also like to give a shout out to a runner who doesn't really run this game anymore, but Timon, when I started picking up No Major Glitches 10 years ago. He taught me everything that I need to know. So I feel like without him, I would not have gotten to where I'm at right now. So shout out to Timon. And I think that's it. So thank you guys so much for watching this run. I hope you all enjoyed. And stay tuned for the rest of the marathon. Power Up with Pride is amazing, and the cause that we're raising money for is amazing. So stay tuned, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Everyone in chat, please go give M-Chan a follow. And stick around for more Power Up with Pride.